Good evening, Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of the Monsters Den. Today we're going to do a cool little unboxing of a brand new reissue of a film I dig quite a bit. 1979's Tourist Trap. Okay, so this is the cool new release from Full Moon. And this is the Blu-ray reissue of Tourist Trap in this old-fashioned, giant-sized VHS box. All right. So here we've got the Blu-ray and the DVD, uncut edition of the film. Okay, the prior reissue Blu-ray and DVD releases had, 7 or 10 minutes cut out of the film. So this is the entire kit and caboodle here. And also you've got a cool little figure of Mr. Slauson, of course, which is the character played by none other than Chuck Connors. So let's take a look. So you get the cool box, big box. This is not actually going to fit on the shelf, but thankfully it's got everything inside that you'll need. So once we open that up.
Which one do you think I'm having for dinner?
Hold on. We don't want that ad on our creepy music now, do we? All right, so let's open it up here. So first of all, we have got the Blu-ray. Okay. Of course, if you've seen the film, you look at that. Perfect cover to this. There's the back. Open it up there. You got the Blu-ray and the DVD. Okay. And then, of course, everybody's probably curious to see what the little action figure looks like. So here's Mr. Slauson in all his glory. He's kind of tiny. There he is. Got his gun. Got one of his little mannequin masks down there at the bottom. So very cool. There's Mr. Slauson himself, Chuck Connor. So this will be going back in the box, and this will be staying for safekeeping. Okay, that'll be going in the closet. The Blu-ray will be going on the shelf. So I think I paid $24 plus shipping or something like that on this. Can't beat it, right? That's what most new Blu-rays go for. So how about the movie? So again, 1979, directed by David Schmoller, starring Chuck Connors, like I mentioned before. In the lead title role, you got Jocelyn Jones, John Van Ness, Robin Sherwood, and none other than Tanya Roberts. The late, great Tanya Roberts, who just passed away, a month ago. Of course, Tanya Roberts, famous for being a Bond girl, being a Beastmaster, and also starring in the final season of Charlie's Angels, along with all sorts of other TV and film appearances. One of the most beautiful women of all time, and left us about a month ago. And this happens to be, I believe it was her third movie role. I'll tell you exactly in a second. Let's see. Actually, she forced entry The Yum Yum Girls, The Private Files of J. Edgar Hoover, Fingers with Harvey Keitel, and then Tourist Trap. And then California Dreaming, Racket, Beastmaster, Hearts and Armor, Sheena, View to Kill, Body Slam, so on and so forth, and all sorts of other B and C movies, erotic thrillers, all that kind of stuff. So back to the film. I've always found this film to be kind of like the younger sibling, in a weird way, to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but the less extreme version of that, sort of. Here we've got a bunch of young adults who happen to stumble, they go the wrong way. Car breaks down. They wind up stumbling upon this, former, what do you call it? Like museum / almost kind of like a weird little theme park that has since been closed down, that was run by Mr. Slauson and his family. Okay, so as they kind of stumble upon here, they meet Mr. Slauson, who's this older gentleman who's a little eccentric, a little weird. He's there all by himself, and he's got all sorts of memorabilia and antiques and lots of dolls and mannequins, right? So they think that's kind of a little bizarre. But he talks a lot about how his, the state put a highway not far from his house through the back end of his property, and once they did that, all of his tourists and whatnot. All the people who used to come visit the museum and what have you would no longer come. They would just bypass everything and on their way. So it closed up the business. Wife passed away. He talks about a brother who was a dollar mannequin maker who went off to the big city to do this, get this job, and kind of left him there all by himself. So, but once we kind of find out there's a lot more to the story than that. There's a great scene in the fairly early on in the film where one of the crew of young adults winds up going ahead. He's the one who's trying to get a repair on their tire, and he winds up going into the house, which is far away from the car originally broke down. And he kind of lets himself in, and he's calling anybody there, and all of a sudden there are all these weird mannequins that seem to be coming to life and laughing and making noises, and then all of a sudden the tool closet opens up, and all these paints and tools and all sorts of glasses and things come flying out of the chest at him, and he's trying to break through the door. His arm gets stuck in the door. All the mannequins are making all sorts of racket and whatnot. It's a very, very cool and really creepy scene to see all these mannequins laughing and things flying all over the place, and then a big piece of metal pipe which is on the floor. It's rattling. All of a sudden, it's like a life of its own. It goes flying through the air and wham, rams right into his back. Done. All right, really creepy scene right off the bat in the movie. But throughout the first hour, you start to see that there's this guy kind of hanging around the property who wears basically this doll's mask, right? Or it's like a mannequin face, and with a big wig. Reminds me of Leatherface a little bit, right? Lumbering around, making these weird, vocalizations and what have you. And one by one starts kind of capturing these, young adults, these people who are here, who kind of stumbled upon the property. And you see lots of, telekinesis and things moving that shouldn't be moving, dolls moving and talking that shouldn't be moving and talking. It's just a really, it's not a very bloody film. It's got a little bit of violence, but not too much. But it's a lot that is implied, and it's just really, really creepy and weird. And I think Chuck Connors puts in a great performance. One of my favorite kind of kind of evil lead in the film, so to speak. It's not a big mystery, who the protagonist is here in this film. But, and the cast is great. I mean, the acting is not spectacular by any means. Especially the ladies have a bunch of really silly lines to say in the film, but the women are all very attractive looking. Tanya looks amazing in her little tube top, which she wears throughout the entire film, and it's just it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting because at the time when they released this film back in the late 70s, they originally were thinking they were going to get tagged with a rated R, okay, with an R rating, but they wound up somehow giving it a PG, so it got a fairly wide release, and then it was, they put it on TV and didn't have to cut much from it, because like I said, there's really no blood, there's not, almost a little bit of nudity, but not, and, but it's disturbing. It's pretty disturbing. So, but it's like I said, it's kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre disturbing, but light, okay? And I just think it's an unsettling, creepy-ass movie. I mean, dolls and mannequins, right? They're kind of weird anyway. He made even weirder here, and I think Chuck does a fantastic job here. I love the cast, love Tanya, obviously. So yeah, that's my review for today. Tourist Trap, one of my longtime favorites. I used to watch, like I said, this on Channel 9, Channel 11, or late night on Cinemax. I think the first time I ever saw it was on Cinemax back in 80 or 81, or maybe it was HBO when we first got cable back in the day. But I've seen this many, many times, had it on DVD, and now have replaced it with this very cool Blu-ray. Like I said, if you're into collecting stuff, got to get it in the big old VHS box with the action figure too, right? So there you have it, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Check the film out if you haven't. It's a classic. And we'll see you with more Monsters Den and all sorts of other stuff here on Sea of Tranquility. Bye-bye, everybody.